Huge clouds of smoke rose above the Gaza City skyline on Wednesday after heavy Israeli airstrikes, even as negotiations to reach a ceasefire continued. According to Associated Press, hospital officials said overnight Israeli attacks killed at least 40 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip, including 10 from the same family who were sheltering in a tent in Mawasi. The strikes came as U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing for a ceasefire that might end the war and free dozens of Israeli hostages. Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the second time in 2 days at the White House on Tuesday evening, but there was no sign of a breakthrough. Netanyahu has vowed to continue the 21-month war until Hamas is destroyed, while the militant group has said it will only release the remaining hostages in return for a lasting ceasefire and an Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Yemen's Houthi rebels are clearly back at it, a conflict analyst said on Tuesday after an attack on a Liberian-flagged cargo ship in the Red Sea. According to Associated Press, the attack killed 3 mariners and wounded 2 others, according to a European Union naval force. "We haven't seen any real attacks on merchant shipping since December last year," said Wolf Christian Pays, a senior fellow at the International Institute for Strategic Studies. "And they're back with a bang." The attack on the Greek-owned Eternity Sea follows the Iranian-backed Houthis attacking another vessel on Sunday in the Red Sea that they said subsequently sank. The assaults are the first Houthi attacks on shipping since late 2024 on the waterway that had begun to see more ships pass through in recent weeks. The attack highlights the danger of the group's renewed campaign targeting a key maritime route for international trade. The bulk carrier had been heading north toward the Suez Canal when it came under fire by men in small boats and by bomb-carrying drones Monday night. While the Houthis haven't claimed the attack, they can take days to claim one. Yemen's exiled government and the EU force blamed the rebels, as did the U.S. Embassy in Yemen. The 2 attacks, and a round of Israeli airstrikes early Monday targeting the rebels, raised fears of a renewed Houthi campaign against shipping that could again draw in U.S. and Western forces, particularly after U.S. President Donald Trump's administration targeted the rebels in a major airstrike campaign. The attacks come at a sensitive moment in the Middle East, as a possible ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war hangs in the balance, and as Iran weighs whether to restart negotiations over its nuclear program following U.S. airstrikes targeting its most sensitive atomic sites during the Israel-Iran war in June. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Washington meeting Trump as Gaza ceasefire discussions continue. The Houthis apparently targeted the 2 vessels over their companies running routes to Israel. "If I were to venture, I guess it has to do with Netanyahu being in Washington and with the fact that, of course, Iran and its network of allies has been taking a bit of a beating in the last couple of months," Pays said. The Houthis have been launching missile and drone attacks against commercial and military ships in the region in what the group's leadership has described as an effort to end Israel's offensive against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Between November 2023 and January 2025, the Houthis targeted more than 100 merchant vessels with missiles and drones, sinking 2 and killing 4 sailors. Their campaign has greatly reduced the flow of trade through the Red Sea corridor, which typically sees $1 trillion of goods move through it annually.
Yes, the Houthis are clearly back as a maritime threat actor, right? They never stopped attacking Israel, so despite all this talk about a ceasefire with the US, the attacks on Israel continued. But indeed, we haven't seen any real attacks on merchant shipping since December last year, and they're back with a bang, right? Yes, if I were to venture a guess, it has to do with Netanyahu being in Washington and with the fact that, of course, Iran and its network of allies has been taking a bit of a beating in the last couple of months. Now, the only axis of resistance actor who has had much capacity to attack on their own in recent months, at least, have been the Houthis. And well, they've been reasonably quiet since December last year, but they're clearly back at it. And I mean, what we're also seeing from these attacks is, of course, that they still have the capability. So despite the intense aerial attacks by both Israel and the United States since the beginning of the year, that has not been enough to deter them from attacking merchant vessels.
A video released on Tuesday by the Ansar Allah media office, the Houthi rebels' media arm, showed what it said was militants boarding a vessel as well as explosions on the ship, sending black smoke into the air. According to Associated Press, the Houthis on Sunday attacked the Liberian-flagged, Greek-owned bulk carrier Magic Seas with drones, missiles, rocket-propelled grenades and small arms fire, forcing its crew of 22 to abandon the vessel loaded with fertilizer and steel billets for Turkey. On Tuesday night, the Houthis released a propaganda video that included their forces hailing the vessel in English over VHF radio, threatening it. The footage included masked Houthi gunmen later boarding the empty vessel, likely on Monday following the crew escaping. The gunmen stormed the ship's bridge, running over broken glass. They then appeared in drone footage chanting the Houthis' slogan, "God is the greatest, death to America, death to Israel, curse the Jews, victory to Islam." Finally, explosives likely planted on the vessel exploded, sinking it. The Houthis released a similar video after their attack on the tanker Saunian in August 2024. The attack on the Magic Seas drew international criticism. Another attack by Yemen's Houthi rebels on a Liberian-flagged cargo ship in the Red Sea killed 3 mariners and wounded 2 others, a European Union naval force said Tuesday, highlighting the danger of the group's renewed campaign targeting a key maritime route for international trade. The assaults are the first Houthi attacks on shipping since late 2024 on the waterway that had begun to see more ships pass through in recent weeks.